I think that the appropriate role for the board is definitely to start with setting the goals. I think that's absolutely certain, because the job of the school board is really to establish that overall vision for the schools, and to set the bar for where we believe as a community our children deserve to be at the end of their time with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. And I think in setting those goals, we can very much determine the actions that the superintendent does need to take. Because I think that we can potentially, in one way, without establishing any policies, we can set clear goals. But without any other policies in place, the superintendent can potentially decide from one year to the next, or from one superintendent to another superintendent, to make huge wholesale changes within the district, and potentially wrench the community from one plan of attack to reach our goals to a completely different plan of attack to reach our goals. And so I think in order to set like a long-term path for our community and a long-term path for the district, I think the school board really is responsible for establishing not only clear goals for what we want to achieve with our students, because the mission really is student achievement, but also secondarily, like the way that we really want to accomplish those goals. And I think through policy, through the way that the board develops the budget, and through other forms of governance and monitoring the superintendent's actions toward those goals, the school board can be a huge element in maintaining a clearly defined and consistent path that the community takes over the long term. Now, I think that there is definitely a line where the school board can't cross and should not meddle in the day-to-day execution of the district. And I think that is a line that absolutely has to be understood as a school board. But I think the school board's #1 employee, and really the only employee, is that superintendent. And to not manage that superintendent toward achieving those outcomes would be not actually fulfilling the job of the school board.
So essentially, you're saying the superintendent's role, that you would establish the policies and goals, and you would monitor their work toward achieving those specific goals.
Absolutely.
You'll be doing a superintendent search. If you could have anybody in the country, who or what kind of person would you pick, and why?
I think what's interesting is I, during my board experience, I led a principal search committee, and we were looking for a new school leader, and so we actually did a nationwide search, because our school at the time was an arts integrated Montessori style school. So we developed, what we started out was a very clear set of criteria that we really wanted to see in our superintendent. I think as we sit down as a community, we see that we need someone who's going to be an organizational leader across the board, someone who's going to be able to invest all of the constituents, all the stakeholders, the entire community, teachers, the entire workforce, in the huge goals and the task of educating all of our kids. And they have to do that while at the same time managing the entire business of an organization, a monsters organization. And at the same time, someone who's going to be that two-way communicator, someone who can absolutely engage in a two-way dialogue between teachers, between stakeholders, between the business community, between parents, and between neighborhood groups. And at the same time, someone who's going to absolutely hold to the ethics and the integrity and the vision of our community, which is where we say all children, and we mean all children. And when we say whatever it takes, we mean whatever it takes as a community. And so I think that those are kind of three big buckets of someone that I would be looking for. I don't know that I could necessarily point to one person, because I think I see a lot of those attributes in different individuals. Sometimes I see the fiery passion for children's rights and education in some leaders, right? And then other times you don't, but at the same time you might not see the communication skills, right? And other people, you see great communication skills and they're able to have conversations with everybody, but they're not able to necessarily bring the passion and the fire for all kids. And I think what we're looking for is someone who can potentially bring all of those pieces together, because I think that's what Charlotte deserves.
I'm sitting there trying to wrap my brain around all that you just finished saying, and I understand. Correct me if I'm
Sure.
wrong. I understand you to say that you participated in a principal search, and you're equating that almost the same as looking for a superintendent. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Well, I was on the...
Same attributes, same...
Not the same attributes, not the same ideals,
Okay,
no,
then
but the
tell me
overall process. To establish the initial rubric and the specific criteria for that
Mhm.
superintendent. We did the same thing for our principal. We laid out and we said we want to have someone who's a good fit with the ideology of our school. We wanted to find someone who had experience with and results with the kind of kids that we served at the same time. And so we laid that all out ahead of time. And then as we were able to bring in all the different applications, we were able to compare every single person against what we wanted, as opposed to just looking at all the individuals and saying, are they good, are they not good, right?
Okay. So what would you look for in a superintendent?
And those were the big three things. I think number one, the ability to be an instructional and an organizational leader. Someone who can establish clear goals for our district, or to work with the goals that the school board has set, and really be able to invest the entire community, stakeholders, teachers, everyone in achieving those. Someone who's a great communicator. Someone who can have that two-way dialogue with the community, with teachers, and really engage folks in the hard work that it takes to actually close the academic achievement gap especially. And then thirdly, someone who really matches the ideals of the Charlotte community. The statement that says, all kids will learn. Someone has to come in with that absolute mindset, and someone has to come in with the mindset that says we're going to do whatever it takes to ensure all kids will learn.